What should you do first if your spouse passes away before you? It's a question many never truly consider until they're facing it head-on. When that day comes, the shock, sorrow, and sudden flood of responsibilities can be paralyzing. Most people don't have a clear roadmap, and they're left trying to make sense of an unimaginable loss while feeling emotionally shattered. Losing a spouse alters the entire foundation of your life. No matter how close your bond or how many years you spent together, their absence changes everything. It leaves a quiet that echoes through every room, a silence that weighs down even the simplest moments, and a to-do list when you can barely bring yourself to move. This isn't a guide about legal forms or funeral etiquette. It's about what to do first for yourself, not for others, so you can weather those initial waves of heartbreak. We'll explore 6 crucial steps to help you stay grounded during one of life's most painful seasons. These aren't abstract suggestions. They come from real-life experience, compassion, and the understanding that grief is deeply personal and never fits into a neat set of instructions. Each of these steps is something others in your shoes have leaned on, and while they won't erase the sorrow, they can offer a sense of clarity when the world around you feels uncertain and unstable. If you're watching this because you've lost your spouse or because you want to be prepared, I truly hope that day is far in the future. But when it comes, you'll need more than just survival instincts. You'll need a way forward. So, stay with me through all 6 points, especially the last one. It's something most people never think about, but it can shape the rest of your life after loss. Let's start with the first step. Step 1. Feel before you try to fix anything. When your spouse dies, the world doesn't just go silent. It loses its rhythm. The familiar habits, shared glances, everyday sounds like keys jingling or a kettle boiling, suddenly they're missing, and with them, a sense of normalcy disappears. And the silence that follows isn't just outside you. It settles deep inside, thick and aching. In the immediate aftermath, there's an urge to stay busy, to sort through documents, make phone calls, coordinate services, handle arrangements, anything to keep your mind occupied. That busyness can feel like control in the middle of chaos. But before anything else, you need to give yourself permission to feel. That doesn't mean falling apart or spiraling. It means allowing yourself to acknowledge your grief without trying to suppress it, without apologizing for it, without rushing it away. Grief doesn't follow a timeline. There's no calendar to mark the day it ends, no formula that tells you when the pain should ease. What matters most in those early moments is that you don't bury the hurt so deep it becomes something harder and heavier later. Unprocessed grief doesn't vanish. It waits. And when it comes back, it often does so with more confusion and more weight than before. You might hear phrases like, "Be strong for your family," or "They wouldn't want you to be sad." But real strength isn't about hiding what you feel. It's about honoring the depth of your loss because it reflects the depth of your love. Consider Evelyn, a woman in her 80s who lost her husband after 5 decades together. In the first days, she threw herself into errands and household chores, insisting she was fine. But late at night, she'd sit staring at his favorite chair, not because she longed for a conversation, but because she hadn't yet admitted how much she missed him. The night she finally allowed herself to cry, really cry, something shifted. Not because the sorrow disappeared, but because it was finally given space. Being heartbroken doesn't make you fragile. Breaking down doesn't make you weak. Grief is not a problem to be solved. It's a reality you live with. If you don't face it honestly, it finds other ways to surface, through resentment, through disconnection, even through illness. So the very first thing you must do if you lose your spouse is this. Stop. Pause, even if just for a moment. Let the sorrow in. Speak their name out loud. Allow yourself to weep, to feel, to remember. You don't need to put your life back together right away. You don't need to look like you have it all handled. You just need to feel, because feeling is the first true step toward healing. And healing, no matter how long it takes, always begins with facing the truth. Number 2. The importance of reaching out right away. In the hours and days following the death of your spouse, the sense of isolation can sneak up on you faster than you expect. One moment, people are calling, dropping off food, sending flowers, and then suddenly, the house gets quiet. The door stops knocking. The phone slows down. And, if you're not careful, that silence turns into separation. That's why one of the most important things you can do early on is this. Reach out before the loneliness settles in too deeply. You don't have to say anything profound. You don't have to explain how you feel. But you do need to let people know you're here, and that you need them. This doesn't mean pouring your heart out to everyone, or trying to entertain guests when you're barely functioning. It simply means not waiting for others to make the first move. Because the truth is, even the people who love you most might be unsure of what to say or how to help. They may hesitate, not because they don't care, but because they're afraid of intruding. By taking that small step, sending a message, picking up the phone, or even just responding when someone checks in, you're building a protective layer against the kind of loneliness that doesn't just feel bad. It starts to affect your mind and body. Social isolation is one of the most harmful things that can happen to a person after loss. It affects sleep, blood pressure, immune function, even memory. And it does it quietly. Let's talk about Jim, a 77-year-old whose wife passed after a long illness. At first, friends called every day, but he often let it go to voicemail. He didn't want to talk. He didn't feel like repeating the story or pretending to be okay. And slowly, the calls stopped coming. It wasn't until a neighbor knocked on his door weeks later that Jim realized he'd been sinking, without even noticing. After that, he made a small promise to himself. Just one call a day. One real conversation. That tiny act turned into something bigger. It gave him a lifeline. Grief tries to convince you that you're alone, but connection reminds you that you're not. You don't have to talk about the loss if you're not ready. You can talk about memories, the weather, a funny story from years ago. What matters is the presence, knowing someone is on the other end of the line, or the other side of the table. And if you have no family nearby, or you're worried about becoming a burden, remember this. Many communities have grief support groups, senior centers, or local volunteers who will sit with you, talk with you, or simply be a quiet companion. Reaching out doesn't mean admitting defeat. It means choosing not to carry your pain alone. The early days after loss are dangerous, not just emotionally but physically. Your body is under stress, your mind is foggy, and your heart is vulnerable. Surrounding yourself with people, even in the smallest ways, acts as a kind of emotional scaffolding, holding you up while you find your balance again. So, if you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you do and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating content to inform and inspire you. Step 3. The urgency of gathering essential documents. When a spouse dies, it can feel as if time should stand still. But the reality is, life continues, and with it, responsibilities that won't wait. Letters still arrive. Payments come due. Accounts become inaccessible. And just as you're trying to process an unimaginable loss, you're also asked to handle tasks that feel overwhelming. That's why one of the earliest, most important actions you can take is this. Find and organize the documents that matter most. Do it gently, without pressure, but do it. This isn't about being cold. It's about being prepared. You'll need paperwork that proves who they were and what they left behind. Documents like the will, insurance policies, financial records, marriage and death certificates, titles to any property, military service papers, and pension information. All of these may be needed, and they often come with deadlines and procedures that don't wait for grief to subside. Many people either put this off, thinking they'll do it when they're ready, or they move too quickly, not fully understanding what they're looking for. Both approaches can create problems, leading to unnecessary stress and painful mistakes. Some responsibilities are time-sensitive. Filing for life insurance, notifying Social Security, managing utility transfers, all of these can affect your financial stability if overlooked or delayed. Waiting too long can cost you more than just time. It can affect your access to benefits and support. Take Harold, a 79-year-old man who lost his wife suddenly. She had handled their paperwork for decades. After her passing, Harold struggled to find her life insurance documents. By the time he discovered them, weeks later in an unexpected place, he had already paid for many expenses out of pocket, not realizing help was available. It wasn't carelessness, it was grief, and the confusion that comes with it. If the process feels too heavy to manage alone, ask someone you trust to sit with you. A family member, a friend, a professional advisor, anyone who can help go through the details slowly, with patience and care. Create a checklist. Store everything in one place. A file folder, a labeled box, anything that keeps things from slipping through the cracks. Write down contact names, account numbers, passwords. Make copies of what's essential. Imagine what someone else would need if they had to step in for you, and then create that path now, while you're able. Because grief doesn't just unfold emotionally, it has a logistical side too, and that side often takes people by surprise. This step may feel like work, but it's actually a way of preserving your spouse's memory with order and respect. It's a way of protecting what they built and giving yourself one less thing to worry about in the days ahead. You don't have to do it all at once, but you do need to start. And when you do, you may discover that even this simple act of sorting, labeling, storing can bring a small sense of control to a life that feels like it's been turned upside down. Step 4. The discipline of tending to your body. The loss of a spouse doesn't just touch the heart, it touches every part of your being. In the days and weeks that follow, you might find even the most basic forms of self-care slipping away. Meals are skipped, sleep is broken, daily routines collapse. You might forget to shower, ignore medications, or go hours without drinking water, all because your body and mind are in shock. But this is exactly when your physical health needs attention most. Because grief, while emotional at its core, also shows up in the body. After losing a spouse, it's not uncommon to experience exhaustion, dizziness, digestive issues, chest pressure, or memory lapses. These aren't random symptoms. They're the body's way of sounding an alarm. The stress of mourning disrupts sleep cycles, weakens immunity, impacts hormones, and can worsen existing health conditions. You don't need to adopt a perfect wellness plan, but you do need to cover the basics. Not because it's easy, but because it's vital. Eat regularly, even if you're not hungry. Choose simple, nourishing foods. Move your body, even gently. A walk to the mailbox, some light stretching, anything to signal that your body still matters. Go to bed, even if you only rest. Try to get outside, even briefly. These acts may feel empty at first, but they are building blocks of recovery. They are not chores. They are forms of care. Take Margaret, an 84-year-old widow who lost her husband after 6 decades of marriage. In the aftermath, she stopped eating, forgot her medications, and eventually collapsed in a grocery store aisle. It wasn't a heart attack. It was neglect, unintentional but serious. Her grief had overwhelmed her ability to function. With help from her daughter, she began writing down small daily goals: when to eat, what pills to take, reminders to hydrate. Slowly, her strength returned, and so did her ability to cope. There's a phrase used in grief work: care for the animal in you. It means going back to the essentials: feeding, resting, hydrating, moving, because even when your heart is shattered, your body is still trying to survive. You might not feel like eating. Eat anyway. You might not want to sleep. Lie down anyway. You might not care about getting dressed. Do it anyway. Not because you're pretending everything's okay, but because you're choosing to keep going. one small step at a time. And don't hesitate to reach out to your doctor, even if it's just a check-in, even if you think it's only stress. Sometimes the act of seeing a healthcare provider, of having your blood pressure taken, of hearing someone say, "You're not alone," can offer a moment of grounding in the chaos. Taking care of your health during grief isn't about moving on. It's about not abandoning yourself in the process. It's a way to say, "I am still here. I still matter." And that, too, is a form of honoring the person you lost. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. Number 5. The danger of rushed decisions. In the wake of loss, there's often a sudden urge to make big changes. You might feel tempted to sell the house, move closer to your children, get rid of your spouse's belongings, or make major financial shifts just to escape the reminders. It's understandable. When your world is turned upside down, changing your environment can feel like the only way to regain some sense of control. But here's the truth. Most major decisions made during the early stages of grief are decisions people later regret. This doesn't mean you won't eventually need to make changes. You might. But right now, your mind is clouded by sorrow, exhaustion, and an aching desire for stability that can't be solved by external moves. What feels like a solution today might become a source of regret a few months from now. And when your spouse passes, the last thing you need is added layers of loss. Let's take an example. George, age 76, lost his wife suddenly after a stroke. Within 2 weeks, he sold their house and moved into a small apartment near his son, thinking it would help him feel less alone. But once the dust settled, George found himself overwhelmed with regret. He missed his neighbors, his garden, the kitchen they remodeled together. The apartment, though practical, felt foreign. And now he had to grieve both the loss of his wife and the comfort of the life they built. Grief needs space, and part of that space includes waiting before you make permanent changes. You don't have to leave the photos where they are forever, but you don't have to take them down tomorrow either. You don't have to decide whether to keep the house, close the account, cancel the membership, or reassign the belongings immediately. Give yourself permission to pause. And if others are pressuring you to move forward or clear things out, gently explain that you need time. This is not about clinging to the past. It's about allowing your emotions to catch up to reality. Acting too quickly may relieve discomfort temporarily, but it often leaves emotional scars that take years to process. This applies especially to financial decisions. Signing papers, selling assets, or altering investments should be done with care, and ideally, with the help of someone you trust who isn't emotionally entangled in the situation. Whether it's a family member, a financial advisor, or even an experienced friend, having another set of eyes on these decisions can protect you from acting out of desperation or confusion. What you're facing is heavy, and there's no shame in taking your time. In fact, it's wise. The goal is not to avoid action forever, it's to act from a place of clarity instead of reaction. And that kind of clarity only comes with time, rest, and support. You've already experienced one major change. Don't multiply the pain by rushing into others. Let yourself adjust. Let the fog lift, and when the moment is right, you'll know. You'll feel more grounded, more certain, more able to look forward without losing what matters from the past. Step 6. The quiet work of rediscovering who you are. When your spouse dies, the loss goes far beyond their physical presence. It's also the loss of the identity you built alongside them. For years, maybe decades, you lived as part of a partnership. You were a we, a shared story, a joined rhythm. And now, suddenly, there is no we, only you. This shift touches something deep. You may not notice it right away. There are so many immediate responsibilities to manage. But at some point, after the paperwork and the condolences, a quiet question begins to surface. Who am I now? It's a question most people aren't prepared to face. So much of your life may have been shaped by your roles within the marriage, the jokes you shared, the habits you formed, the way decisions were made. Those roles don't disappear all at once, but over time, they begin to fade. And when they do, the space left behind can feel confusing, even frightening. This part of grief is rarely talked about, but it's essential. It's the slow, personal process of rebuilding your identity, not as a rejection of the past, but as a way to keep moving forward. It's learning how to be a you again, without the we. What do you enjoy now? What soothes your soul? What kind of life do you want to shape, even if it looks different than what you imagined? Consider Irene, 82, who lost her husband after 55 years together. For months, she held on to everything as it was. His belongings untouched, his routines still followed. But eventually, she picked up her paintbrushes again, something she hadn't done since her 20s. Not to escape her grief, but to reconnect with a version of herself she'd put away long ago. Her love for her husband hadn't faded, but her own story wasn't finished either. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to grow. You are allowed to become someone new. This doesn't erase the life you shared. It honors it by choosing to keep living with purpose. For some, that might mean joining a club or taking a class or visiting a place you always talked about. For others, it might be as simple as starting a journal, reading something new, or learning to enjoy your own company again. These aren't distractions. They're signs that life is still unfolding. You don't need to have all the answers. Most people don't. Rebuilding identity after loss isn't a destination, it's a path, one that's taken step by step in your own time. You are not only the person you were with your spouse, you are also the person you are becoming without them. And that new version of you is just as worthy of care, attention, and love. If you're still watching and this message resonates, please comment number 6 below to let us know you're here. And if you haven't already, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video. Your support helps us keep creating meaningful content for those walking this journey. Final thoughts: the quiet courage of grief. Losing a spouse leaves a mark deeper than words can reach. It doesn't just take someone you love, it takes the rhythm of your days, the sound of your home, and the quiet comfort of being known without having to explain yourself. There's no preparing for that kind of silence, and nothing fills it completely. But as painful as this loss is, there are gentle, human ways to keep moving, simple actions that help you find your footing again. These 6 steps are not solutions. They're lifelines. They help you stay steady when the grief feels too heavy. Let yourself feel before trying to fix. Reach out early instead of waiting. Locate and organize important documents. Tend to your health even when it's hard. Avoid hasty decisions that can backfire. Begin the slow rediscovery of your identity. None of these are easy, but each one matters. You don't have to be strong every moment. You don't have to move quickly. You just have to keep going, at your own pace, in your own way. And if you take nothing else from this video, hold on to this. You are not alone. Others have been here. Others are here now. And like you, they are finding their way, step by step, through a world forever changed. Grief doesn't mean your story has ended. It means a new chapter has begun, one you never asked for, one you never wanted, but one that still belongs to you. In this new chapter, you get to decide how healing looks, how love continues, and how life can still unfold, even after goodbye. Thank you for spending this time with us. We'd love to hear from you. Please share in the comments one thing you learned today and how you plan to apply it. Your thoughts inspire others, and your voice matters. If this video helped you, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need it. Your support allows us to keep making content that speaks to the heart. We'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care of yourself. You're doing better than you think.